You're watching the countdown to the Syracuse Mayoral debate on Citrus TV. Here now is Ben Bassick.
We welcome you to our pre-show panel featuring Chair of the City of Syracuse Republican Committee, Kevin Ryan, and Democratic County Legislator, Maurice Brown. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me here.
We're going to go through a series of questions here. I'm going to start off and pose this question to both of you, but first I'll have you, Mr. Brown. What would you tell Syracuse voters ahead of this mayoral race, and can you kind of justify your endorsement?
So I'm supporting Sharon Owens. I think she's, ready to serve from day one. The city of Syracuse, we're facing a lot of challenges, and we want somebody who can go in and get it done right away. Like, we don't have time for a learning curve, so I think she's the best candidate to serve come day one, and that's why I'm supporting her.
Awesome. Thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Ryan. What do you say to voters? What's your message, and justify your endorsement?
Well, I think in terms of a learning curve, I don't think you'd have one with Tom Babylon having served in the Corporation Counsel's office for as long as he has. But I think the question for city voters is this. To paraphrase the great Ronald Reagan, is the city better off than it was 8 years ago? If it is, if you're happy with the direction the city's going, with the way crime is being handled, with the way funds are being spent, then fine. You should vote for Sharon Owens. But if you're not happy with the way city government's being run, then we might suggest a different course, and that's to vote for change. Vote for Tom Babylon. The city has been run by the Democrats for a generation, and I think that really it's time for change, and we need a new direction in this city.
You mentioned those past 8 years under the Walsh administration. Plenty of time to make an assessment of that administration. I'll turn back to you, Mr. Brown. What do you think is the biggest accomplishment of the Walsh administration over the past 8 years, and where do you think there's room for improvement?
The biggest accomplishment of the Walsh administration, that's an interesting question. I have not thought about that. I know generally he's done a lot around housing and just community development. We're in a housing crisis, and he made that a focus of his in getting that solved. What was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
Where's the room for improvement, and what would you like to see for the next mayoral candidate?
So there's room for improvement in a lot of places. I would like to see the next mayoral candidate kind of take poverty head on. I would like to see more transportation initiatives. Vision Zero is currently sitting at the Common Council's desk, but it can save lives. Transportation and poverty are linked, where the shorter someone's commute time is, the easier they can get out of poverty. And we haven't taken it directly head on, and I think transportation can do that, and I think Mayor Owens is going to be the one to lead that change.
I'll pose the same to you, Mr. Ryan. Biggest accomplishment of the administration over the past 8 years, and where's the room for improvement?
Well, I'm going to echo the comments of my esteemed colleague next to me. He wasn't able to name one, and frankly, I can't either. If you look at the record of this administration, we have millions and millions of dollars of funds wasted on a payroll improvement project that never happened. Grant funding that never came through for District 15 because they couldn't get the project's paperwork submitted on time. We hear about the debacle with the way that the lead testing was done in the city. No accountability for that. How many hundreds of thousands of dollars were wasted in an effort to tear down a statue, which frankly, many citizens of Syracuse want kept up. I don't think there's been any accomplishments, any achievements, or any, frankly, record to run on. And quite candidly, I think the strongest argument that Sharon Owens has to run is the fact that she's a Democratic candidate and they enjoy an enrollment advantage. I think if the voters of the city look at the candidates, look at their resumes, look at what they propose to do, I think the choice is easy, that it's Tom Babylon for mayor.
I want to ask you, you mentioned Sharon Owens. Mr. Brown, do you think being unable to name an accomplishment of the administration in which she served as deputy mayor is a shortcoming in this race?
Negative. So Mayor Walsh is an independent, and his dad was, a long-term serving Republican. I understand the desire to pin Mayor Walsh's, record on Mayor Owens, but they're not the same people. She was a member of his team, and she had a job that she, served honorably. She led the police search to find Chief Buckner. She did what she was asked to do, and she did it valiantly. I think it's unfair to take, Mayor Ben Walsh, white man, young, and say that Sharon Owens is going to give you the same outcome. I just don't think that's logical, and I think the voters get that too.
Mr. Ryan, your response.
She said it herself. She's been at the right hand of every major decision of the Walsh administration for the past 8 years. She wants to take credit for all that supposedly went well, but every time there's something went wrong, she has nothing to do with it. I think that's disingenuous. And the mere fact that the race of the candidates, I think, is immaterial.
I want to move on now and ask about the race that's ahead of us. What is something that you haven't heard from the mayoral candidates that you would like to hear? What do you think should be focused on that's not being talked about in this race?
So I'm going to bring it back to transportation. Central's redesigning their bus routes, and I think the way they're going about it is productive. It's a real community conversation, but I think transportation is intrinsically linked to poverty, we talk about housing a lot. I want transportation to be on that same level with housing, because that is how you get someone out of poverty, getting to work, getting to their job, and being able to get home safely.
Mr. Ryan, what issue is not being talked about?
Well, I think that the Babylon campaign has done a pretty good job at talking about the issues that it wants to address should it be elected mayor. I would frankly like to hear the Owens campaign tell us what she would do differently for the past 8 years. Give us one concrete example of a major decision that she disagreed with the Walsh administration on. She said she's not the same person. You can't judge her by that same record, but her own comments say that she wants to be. So again, tell us where she's different.
I want to move on to some specific question for you gentlemen. Starting with Mr. Brown, neither Pat Hogan nor Chol Majoke have endorsed Sharon Owens for mayor. Do you think that she's doing enough to unify Democrat support? And if so, why haven't we seen those endorsements?
I actually don't think that's her role to unify the Democratic Party. I have my own criticisms of the Democratic Party, but I think that locally our Democratic Party is in, shambles, if you will, and we need to rebuild. I do think she can be a part of that rebuild, but I don't think it's her job to save the current Democratic Party. It should save itself, and that would include, former mayoral nominee or designee Pat Hogan coming to the table and saying, I want to work with you, but he hasn't done it, and there's going to be no pressure from the Democratic Party for him to do it, so I don't see why he would do that. And I think until, that accountability is present, the Democratic Party is going to struggle.
Do you think he should go forward with that endorsement?
Do I think Pat Hogan should endorse Sharon Owens?
Yes.
Yes, I think because she's the best candidate in the race, not because of the party politics.
Mr. Ryan, the last mayoral race, the Republican candidate won by just 12%, or lost by, garnered just 12% of the vote. What's the path forward for Mr. Babylon in this race?
To do exactly what he's been doing, to come forth with a record of achievement and what he hopes to do when he becomes mayor. Remember that over 10,000 people in the city of Syracuse voted for President Trump last year, and if you take those numbers and you include the people who are dissatisfied with the Walsh-Owens administration and people who, if they take an honest look at the two candidates and their platforms, I think there is a path to victory for Tom Babylon.
I want to ask another question to you, Mr. Brown, just kind of give you a chance to comment on this. You drew some criticism from Republicans following the 2026 budget vote. I want to give you a chance to respond, particularly about your vote against extending military pay and benefit coverage for active duty county employees. Your response.
Yeah, so we hadn't talked about that in committee, and the wording was off. It didn't look like it looked last year, so I caught that. And when I caught that, I was not comfortable voting. But, some people are comfortable voting with those details not mattering. I'm not. And the way it was worded doesn't protect veterans. But they basically did a double negative, and it made the wording confusing. But I have no problem protecting veterans, if it means I'm going to be the outsider. I am a veteran. I think that veterans deserve the best, and that's what I'm going to give them.
I'm going to give you guys each a chance just to kind of get your final statements, anything that you would like to say about this mayoral race or any of the topics we've covered today.
I would just like the voters of the city of Syracuse to take an honest, hard look at both candidates or all four candidates running, look at their records, look at what they choose to do, what they propose to do as mayor, and I think if you take an honest look at the campaigns, what they stand for, what they want to do, I think Tom Babylon is the better choice.
And how about you, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I think the voters should, do their homework. Look up Mayor Owens. Look up, what she's planning to do, her vision, her leadership. She was the head at Southwest for a long time. She has a real background in community development, and we're going to need a community approach. You're going to hear a couple of the candidates say community a lot because the community hasn't been involved enough, and I think she's the right person to bring us to the table.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brown and Mr. Ryan. We appreciate you coming on with us. Gentlemen, thank you. Next up, Citrus TV's Mayoral Town Hall.